Have you suffered a loss and you're thinking, how could I enjoy the holiday season ever again since this person is no longer in my life? If you can relate to that, I am so sorry that you're dealing with this loss. But why am I talking about death during the most wonderful time of the year? It's because we all suffer loss at one point or the other. As you know, our great teacher and mentor, Dr. Lorraine Day, just passed away. And so it's prompted me. I've received so many emails, some letters, texts saying, what did she die of? What did this happen? And I know that this is someone that wasn't even in our life and we're grieving her. She's someone that we saw on a regular basis, but what if the person that has passed on, and I'll talk a little bit about Dr. Day in a little bit, but what if the person who has passed on, who has ascended, as I call it now, is like your spouse or someone that you've seen over and over on a daily basis and they're no longer there? You think, again, how could I ever want to celebrate another holiday? Well, today we're going to be talking about how to embrace loss. I wrote an article a while ago and I'm bringing it out. I'm dusting it off from 2015, and I want to make you aware of that article and how to embrace loss. But I also want us to grieve together, to be able to say, yes, I'm sad, but at the same time, I can hold joy in my heart and gratitude and gratefulness. Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I am a certified life coach and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show. If this is your first time joining us, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. What prompted me to do this show or this class today, of all days, is that we just celebrated a holiday season. And for many of us, when you experience loss, you think, how can I rejoice when somebody is no longer here? But just like Dr. Day would say, the dead are dead. And, I would talk to her and I'd say, okay, well, what happens when you take that final breath? And where does it go? And she would always reply, well, where does light go when you turn off the switch? So there's so many different things that we don't know. We don't know what happens when people die. Dr. Day had an opinion. I did not agree with her opinion, and I was very vocal about it. I have my own belief, but it all is just belief. None of us, other than Jesus, has died and come back to live. None of us. Now, some people have died and come back, but you're still alive. I'm talking about people who have died, pronounced dead for 2-3 days, come back and tell the story of what happened when they died. That's never happened other than one time that I know of. But if you know of someone that has happened to and they are gone, other than Lazarus, which we didn't hear his story either, we just hear about what happened. But if you know of someone, let me know, because I would love to know about that. But none of us really know what happens. None of us know the date and time that someone's going to go or that our Messiah is coming. So with that in mind, I just thought, I'm sure that for me, the news of Dr. Lorraine Day's passing was not as impactful to me as her children. For you, it's more impactful when your spouse or your child or someone, God forbid anyone in our life would pass away, that lives with us and that you are used to seeing them every day, and then all of a sudden they're no longer there. There's a difference. Our grieving for someone who doesn't live with us is different than our grieving with someone that we will miss every single day. So with that, I want to create this awareness. There's an article that I wrote. If you go to whenyouneedafriend.com and you go to the About Me section, and I'll put the link for the article below, which is how to embrace loss during the holidays. In 2015, we had a lot of deaths in our family, especially on the McDermott side. And it was very difficult, but at the same time, it was easier for us than it was probably for the people I know that saw him every day or that were with him. So there are different levels, and we can't compare my grief to your grief. I cannot compare your death to my death, because, and I'm talking about the death of a loved one, not me being dead or you being dead. We cannot compare how we experience that, because we all have different ways of dealing and coping with life and death. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this class, because I know that not just the people who miss Dr. Day, not just the people who are experiencing the loss for a birthday or the first of every new anniversary, the first anniversary of their death, their birthday, the first time they're not with us. There's always that first. And let me tell you, during the holidays, everybody's joyful, everybody's cheerful. And if that makes you feel bad and you don't want to experience people with joy, I will say, take a pass. Take a pass in the holidays. Just say to I did this when I went through my divorce. I was divorced when I was about 28 years old, and my divorce was final. I think, I don't know why this date comes to mind, December 3rd. I haven't even thought of that, but it was final on December 3rd. And I remember going through the holidays, but I just did not want to celebrate New Year's Eve. I got invitations. My family put pressure on me because we always spent that together. And I said, no, this year, I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep through the holiday, the New Year's Day. And you know what? That's what I needed. And I gave that to myself. And it didn't matter how many people wished I was with them. I needed to do what I needed to do. Now, divorce is different than a death. And but it is a death. It is a form of a death. So if that is you and you're going through a divorce and it's your first holiday without your spouse, deal with it whatever way that you can deal with it. Please deal with it. Just honor your body, but understand that when it happens the first year, and maybe it's happened the second year, and now it's the third year, I'm saying that there comes a time where grieving needs to go to that next level of help. And if you're still grieving 12 years later and you don't want to participate in any of the holidays, or you don't even want to talk about this loved one, it's time to get help. And whatever help that is, whether it's with me or someone who is a bereavement expert, and that's what they do for a living, please get help. But I'm talking about the first. This is the first time, the first memory, and the first opportunity, and the holidays are right here. I know a young lady who lost her husband, and I am sure she and her two little kids will experience the holidays differently than I will or you will. We have to be aware that everybody grieves differently. And it was Henry Moseley that said, and he was a psychiatrist from 1867, as I recall. Henry Moseley said, sadness not expressed with tears may make other organs weep. May make other organs weep. And I say will make other organs weep. That's how disease begins. And when you see someone who dies shortly after their loved one, is because they could not deal with the emotions and let them go, release them. As you're experiencing them, feel the pain, feel the hurt. The only way to get past grief is to actually grieve, to go through the stages and allow the pain to go through, to sit in you, but go through you. Very important that if you are feeling this pain all day long, You have to understand that some people use this pain as now their new identity. Their previous identity may have been being the caregiver. Their previous identity before that was, I can't find somebody to marry. The previous identity was, I was abused. The previous identity. So we identify with something that's harmful or wrong or terrible in our lives, and it could become, because of all the attention, and that's another topic, because of all the attention, people can become addicted to the attention, and grieving or being sad is the only way they can feel validated. So there are different levels, and I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about, you're going through pain. Your loved one is going to miss this first holiday season. And how do you approach this without just wanting to crawl under a bed and just stay there until the holidays pass? Or you can set yourself up for support, for success, for being able to endure this and still hold two conflicting emotions in your hands, in your heart, in your head, where you can still laugh and cry at the same time. Yes, you have pain, but you can still enjoy the moment of joy. So there are some, I have some suggestions. Again, listen to the suggestions and see how you can incorporate it into what works best for you. So by no means am I trying to shame or guilt if you are feeling like you just want to stay in bed for the rest of the holiday season and say, I am just going to pass. I'm not going to sit at your table. I don't want to be, crying at your table. But crying at the table is okay too. That's how we mourn together. That's how we release the sadness together. So I have some ideas of trying to be helpful, but take what you can and use it, and what doesn't make sense, just release it. Maybe it'll make sense to somebody else, that something else that made sense to you doesn't make sense to them. We all grieve at different ways, and we all deal with issues in different ways. So you're going to find me saying this over and over again, because what I want is for you to take from this conversation whatever works best for you. So I have to tell you that, and I've shared this story before, and I'm going to quickly, I wrote an article about this story, and it is in the grieving with embracing death during the holidays. I believe it's in that, but it's the story of my friend who got the terrible news that her son had taken his last breath, and it was an accidental drug overdose. So there's a lot of emotions that go through that. And I remember, I'm not going to tell the story the long way. I'm going to make it as short as I possibly can. But can you imagine a mom, a father burying their 33-year-old son? And I remember Robert and I going down to visit. It was a 4 or 5 hour drive for us to go to the celebration of life for this young man. And across the way, I see my friend, who, when our eyes meet, our souls communicated with one another. I was a part of helping her through this process, and I hadn't seen her until that moment. But she had a line of people wanting to offer their condolences. But when I arrived to be in, there was somebody talking to her, and I overheard, not that I was trying to eavesdrop, but I overheard, I don't know, maybe God wanted me to hear this, her say, I am so sorry your son passed away. She used his name. And my friend said, without skipping a beat, oh no, my son did not die. And I thought, oh my gosh, she has gone nuts. She is crazy. She is like in denial. But what came out of her mouth was such a teachable moment for me that I will never look at death the same way ever again. She said, my son did not die. He ascended. And I thought, oh my goodness, this woman in her moment of grief, she is teaching me. We're all teachers, we're all students, and we just don't know how when we grieve, how we will impact somebody else, or when we don't grieve, how we will impact somebody else. It goes both ways. Her grief, her open grief, helped me see death in a totally different way. And like Dr. Day and I would go back and forth talking about, death and, the dead though know nothing, and all those things that she had in mind, and how the person is gone, and how could God allow you to see your family? You can't do anything about it. God is God. God knows more than any of us. So I don't know what happens, but to me, they're in us, they're within us, they're in our memories, they're in our hearts, they're in our blood that circulates in us. Their memory is in us. So that can never die until you take your final breath, until I take my final breath. The people who have died in my lifetime will die again when I die. That is my belief, because I carry these people, not as a burden, but as my mentors, as the people I love. I don't know if that makes sense to you. If it makes sense to you, give me an emoji or whatever you do to acknowledge that what is being said you can relate to. But can you relate to not wanting to celebrate when you're sad? You don't want to see other people laughing and being cheerful, but that's when we need to be around them the most. When we're depressed, that's when we need to be around people the most. And when I say when we're depressed, I'm talking about a temporary, because grief is temporary. It is meant to be temporary, not a lifelong. And again, I will say that if you have experienced grief and you're still experiencing grief 5 years later, and now I'm not saying that you won't miss the person or that you're sad when you think of them, but you also think about the joyful times you had with that person. You think about how grateful you are that even though they died too soon, you were able to experience them before they died. So there's a gratitude that comes with it. So when I say depressed, that is like a clinical diagnosis. I'm talking about extreme sadness, because sometimes people will use that diagnosis to medicate and not deal with the pain. And so I'm wanting to encourage you to kind of take the mask off and say, yes, I'm sad. Yes, I miss that person. And tell us about it. Tell us, what is it about this person that you miss? So that the person, like if you're the person who's grieving the loss of your spouse or your child or a friend, that you are able to say what you need from me. I want to talk about them. I don't want to talk about them. I just want to laugh today. I want to remember joy. I want to hear your stories of my partner or my friend or my child. Tell me stories that will make me laugh. Ask for what you need. Don't feel that you're an island, an isolated island, and that nobody cares. The people that love you and want to mourn with you just don't know how to do it. It's awkward. We have not been taught how to do it. So I'm hoping that for us who maybe are trying to lift you up, that you are grieving, for us, that we also say and ask permission. How can I make this time easier for you? How can I make this moment in a way that we can talk about it or not talk about it, or just sit in silence, or just hug one another, or just tell each other a funny story? That communication happens between the two of us or with a group before you gather with them and say, I know this is going to be difficult for me, but this is what I need from all of you. I will be there, but I may leave early, or I may be there and I don't know if it's going to be difficult or not. Maybe I know it's going to be difficult, but I don't know if just being with all of us will be enough for me to be able to enjoy the celebration. Say what you need and say it ahead of time. If you know you're going to go to the party and the hostess is inviting you and they're thrilled that you're coming, send them a thank you note. Let them know that you're coming or you're not coming, or that if you come, you want them to feel comfortable with talking about your loved one. Whatever you can do to make somebody else feel comfortable, that's great. And whatever I can do to make the person who's grieving more comfortable, and when I say I mean you, all of us collectively, make the person who's grieving comfortable, we can ask that question too. So when I heard my friend say, my son didn't die, he ascended. Think about how God's perspective, and Dr. Day and I would talk about God's perspective of death. And we talked about it in the Book of Revelations DVD, and online we have this, and also the 100 Lessons from the Exodus. The way God looks at death, it's temporary. It's not a long time. We will be together someday. And so when I heard that, it just brought it to my attention that that is how God sees death. God is going to be, we're going to be reunited with everybody. I know that that I believe is true. So how does God see death? Temporary. It is temporary. And so when I would have these conversations with Dr. Day, I would just, she had her beliefs and that was okay. But one thing that we did agree on is that when that glorious resurrection occurs, we will all be together. What happens in between, my opinion doesn't matter. Honestly, her opinion doesn't matter either if it's different than yours. What really matters is God's opinion and God's truth of what is going to happen. And we don't know, but the only thing we do know is that we will be together again. So, like I said, where does breath go when you take your final breath? I believe it gets returned to God. Dr. Day said it goes nowhere. It just stops. And then you just fall asleep. And she could be right, but it wasn't something that resonated with me. And I'm just letting you know about that. Now, a lot of you have asked me, and I'm just going to take a little break about this. A lot of people have made some suggestions that Dr. Day, that somehow there was foul play, or someone hurt her, or anything to that effect. And the answer to that is no. And for those of you who are asking me, what did she die of? That's her children's story to tell. And maybe if they allow me to share the story, I will. And not that they have not allowed me, but I want to honor my friends' conversations. I know what she died of, and I know that her belief system kept her from getting the help she needed. And so I want you to know, and she and I had these conversations before on the air, when she'd say, I haven't gone to a doctor in 25 years or 30 years or 40 years. She would say that. And she also believed that if you went to the doctor, that you didn't have faith. And so those were her beliefs. And so I just want you to know that I don't share those beliefs, but those are her beliefs that she had. And when we discussed what was going on with her, I asked her to do something different, but she would not. And I have to respect that, and we have to respect that. And so just know that if you get sick and you're taking a pill so that you can continue living the same lifestyle, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if, like we talked about, if you got hurt or injured and you had to go to an orthopedic doctor, that's why she became an orthopedic doctor, a trauma surgeon, you go to a doctor. But there are situations where you need a coach to get you from diabetes to being diabetes free, from heart disease to being heart disease free, from having whatever condition to being that condition free. And sometimes you need a like-minded coach, or unless you could do it yourself. But she was a doctor. So we can't compare anyone to the other person. What she chose is going to be different than what I choose, and might be different than what you choose. But just know this was not foul play. This was something that we learned about and that she was dealing with her way. And it wasn't enough because God called her. God, if God wanted her to be here, she would be here. Because if anybody could overcome what she was going through, it would have been her. But just know that sometimes we need to do that surgery or that whatever it takes to get us to that next level of health and wellness. So just know, a side note, I do not want to make it about that. And please don't ask me what she died of. I'm not going to share that unless I feel safe to do it, unless I get permission from her children and they accept my offer to do this. I'll also reach out to them to see if they'll ever want to come on the show, but please respect their privacy. This isn't about that. And I don't want to make this about Dr. Day, but she is a friend, and I'm constantly getting emails and texts about her. And I just want you to know to please respect that if they wanted to tell you what it is, they would tell you, but just know it wasn't vindictive or anything to that effect. But she took her final breath. But I know I could still hear her in my head. And the day I take my final breath, that's when she will die to me. She and I will die to you, or whatever it is that I'm trying to say, which is spirit never dies. It just changes form. And we need to become aware of that. And the moments that we're sad, that knowing of God and how God sees death, that needs to be, and these are the things that we can do to help us prepare for those sad moments, feel the sad moments, but also remember that this is temporary, that we're grateful for this person, that yes, it's going to be painful. Yes, we're going to miss them. But what can we do to set ourselves up for recuperating from that, replacing it with joy, and being able to find, and again, like Henry Moseley said, sadness not expressed in tears may make other organs weep. He was a psychiatrist in 1867. They knew that back then, but they want to give you a pill. If you're sad, take the pill, take the pill, take the pill. But that's not going to make your grief better. It's just going to fester into your body and make you sick. And so you don't want that for yourself. So grieving must happen in order to get those, to grieve, you must get those feelings out. Allow the pain to feel the pain. Take a pass. If you don't want to be a part of it and you feel that you just cannot have the two emotions at the same time, just say to the hostess, I'd rather just stay home this year, and just please understand. But again, tell people what you need. And as a person who's trying to help somebody who's grieving, tell them or ask them, how can I help you grieve during this time? Don't be afraid of saying the name of the person like it's taboo, or you're going to hurt or get their emotions all frazzled. Ask what they need. Again, it's temporary. And that temporary might come in waves 20 years from now. But for the most part, you've accepted and embraced the fact that they're no longer going to be with you on this earth, but it's only temporary. So these are the things that we get to go through in our lives. We get to understand. So when it comes to embracing the holidays, prepare yourself. Prepare yourself in ways that remind you, like little quotes, little things that your loved one like to do, food that they like to eat. Just do little things. If they love to dance, dance. If they like a particular song, listen to it. Allow the moment to fill yourself with that memory so that it will pass, that you're not suppressing it. And so just prepare yourself and prepare others too, and say it may not be, but just know that if it does, there's a little scripture verse, or there's something, or there's a friend that you can call and say, I'm really sad right now. Can we just talk about my loved one? Excuse me, I just got the hiccups. Can I talk about my loved one and be able to embrace whatever it is that that you need to get out of your body? And so create a new tradition. Maybe at the dinner table, at the Thanksgiving feast that we just had, or the Christmas or Hanukkah table, or the Easter table, whenever you're listening to this video, create space for that person. They were a part of your life for a long time, or maybe a short time. Create a place where you can just sit and talk with them, have their picture, because people might hear this and go, oh, that's cray-cray, Lily. No, it is not. I know people to this day that have followed my advice on that and have conversations with their loved ones. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful because it shows another side of us that we can transcend our limiting belief of what death is like. And we can work with whatever parameters we have, whatever parameters it is. So create a new tradition. Maybe the first year you're going to take a cruise, or you stay home, or you go out of state, or you spend it with a different family, or just whatever you can do to create it. Do something different. And again, do something to honor their memory as well. Maybe you can serve at a soup kitchen, or you can help out underprivileged, adopt a family where they cannot pay for their Christmas, or whatever it is. Do something to get you outside of your grief and help somebody else with their pain. So many things that we can do. But listen, although I'm talking about Dr. Day, and because she just passed away or ascended, we all have relatives that are towards the end of their life. If they're alive, rejoice with them, celebrate with them, spend time with them. Don't wait till after they die and go, I wish I would have gone. I wish I would have gone to that last holiday season, or I wish I would have called more or visited more, or whatever it is. Do whatever you can. Because as our parents get older, we're going to have a greater risk. I did not think that Dr. Day would be gone before my parents were gone. So you create new friendships, new bonds, new people that know your family, and you can talk about them. I just, we don't know when death is going to happen. So all we can do is embrace and accept it as this is a part of life. And if you need to cry, cry if you need to cry. It is okay. It is okay to not be okay. It is also okay to rejoice and have fun, and not feel like if you do have fun, you're going to forget them. You will never forget them. You can be grateful for the time they were with you. So if you feel like, when you're in your essence, we've talked about the ego and all of that, and sometimes pain and loss can become part of our ego, our misery, because the ego doesn't not want us to be happy. And the way you know that you might be in your ego is when you must be miserable and no one around you can laugh. That's your ego. But the way you know that you're grieving in your essence is when you can grieve and you can still be around people who are joyful. And you can take that little moment and be joyful with them. And then you can still cry and you can still feel sad. But then joy comes in the morning. Joy comes around the corner. Joy might be 3 days away. So just know that joy is around the corner. I'm just trying to look at my notes because there are some things that I just jotted down that I want to make sure that that we can do for ourselves to prepare ourselves. Now, again, do not mourn the living. There are times I'm with my mom and dad, And as I'm walking away, I think, oh, could this be the last time I see them? The thought crosses our mind, and our body will respond accordingly. It will act as if you just lost your parents and you're grieving your parents or your loved one, your children, your spouse. Don't mourn the living. Be with them, be present with them until they take their final breath. And then be present with yourself, with your loved ones when that moment comes. And again, if it happens to be during the holidays, or this is the first holiday season that they're not going to be around, it may have happened at the beginning of the year, whatever your situation is, just embrace the fact that you're alive and grateful that you were given the gift of that person. Now, if that person caused you harm, that's grieving that you need to do as well. And as a certified life coach, I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. And if you need help and coaching to kind of be able to get some of these emotions out, I'm at your service. You can go to, I believe I have it's about, and then the coaching, when you about Lily, and you can click on the coaching, it's a drop-down menu, and get a package or get a one-time. And we just did the Black Friday, so anybody who purchased an hour session at 25% off, good for you. Good for you. I'm proud of you. Take advantage of personal growth. There's nothing wrong with seeking personal growth. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com, and while you're there, please subscribe. Something happened just recently where I lost all my subscribers. And if you have subscribed and you haven't received a welcome letter from me, please let me know. Also, I want to let you know that I did a class with Carol Howe on going beyond pain to joy, going beyond the pain to joy. And after that class, we had an incredible conversation, and I asked her if I could record it. But I'm only sending it to people that are asking for that recording. It is amazing what she said, the insights, and it has to do with dealing with loss and pain. And so she is an amazing woman. So go check out that video. While you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, just please like and follow me. Go to all my social media, like and follow me there. Please share this video, especially if you know somebody that is about to lose someone, or maybe someone who has lost someone. Maybe they're not ready to see stuff like this if they haven't lost them. But everybody's experienced loss in their life. Everybody has. And so maybe this will help somebody to say, it's okay for me to laugh again. It's okay for me to be happy again. And I won't lose and miss their memory. Write some of the stories that you like about them. Read them when you feel down. And that's another way. I just came up with that right now. There's so many different ways that we can learn and grow together. So while you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, check out my sponsors, support them the way they're supporting the classroom. Go to my Shop Now bag. There's lots of stuff there that's Lily approved from head to toe, including pain. Physical pain, which, by the way, emotional pain can be trapped in your body and cause physical pain as well. Now, I hope you didn't hear me say this is all in your head. It is manifested into your body. It goes from your head into your body. And that's when, if you're feeling backache or some form of fibromyalgia or whatever, and you've experienced loss and you haven't dealt with the loss, it's time to dig deeper. Or maybe you thought you dealt with the loss, it's time to dig deeper. So go check out my Shop Now bag, and I mean, from head to toe. And even pain management without medication. And that's what I used when I was in my car accident and had 4 herniated discs. And it's first alternative. Check them out and let them know Lily sent you. Some of these are affiliates, some of them are not. I just want you to know what has worked for me. And last but not least, before I tell you the last but not least, on February 3rd, 2024, we have the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. I hope that you will join us in Florida. It's Rockledge, Florida. We'll have a day of learning how to heal naturally, spirit, mind, and body, as well as physically. We will have Dr. Thomas Levy will be there. I know that Dr. Joe Foreman is going to be speaking via Zoom. We have possibly we have Dr. Bradley Nelson. He may be paying us a visit and might join us, but we're still working that out. There's so many people that are local vendors that have natural ways, you know, all the vendors that are going to be there, they're going to offer free treatments and for you to try them out. So check out February 3rd. Go to the pop-up when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com and see if you can join us on that day. Get your tickets because the space is limited. And so once we get to a certain amount of people, we have to shut down the list. But I want everybody to go. We will have advertising on Natural Awakenings, but it's a wonderful, last year was our first one, and it was wonderful. This will be our second annual I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, and it's gonna be bigger and better. So please join us. And last but not least, you could become an enrolled student in the classroom. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for those of you who've donated $1. So you took me for my word, and I am grateful, just as grateful to you as I am for the people who donate more. So whatever it is that you can give, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure, like I said, sharing this video, liking and following, subscribing to all the channels, that's how we beat the algorithms from keeping this information from going out there. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who are helping grow the classroom. So with that in mind, I want you to know that whatever we believe is what manifests in our life, whatever we believe. And so whether it's we believe that the person is asleep or the person is right next to us, work with that and work within your parameters and bring that memory, because let me tell you, when you have a memory, your body experiences that memory as if it's happening real time. The brain does not know, the mind does not know the difference between past or future, fact or fiction. It doesn't know the difference. It just knows whatever you're recalling, whatever you're seeing, it just believes it's true. That's how pure God made us. That's how pure our bodies are. That whatever we see, we believe the body responds to as truth. So we have to be careful with what we surround ourselves and how we set ourselves up for success or failure. And so, so call on your loved ones. I know I will. I know that I still, when I'm about to cook in the kitchen, I know my grandmother Asia, I loved her food. I loved how she cooked. And so sometimes when I want to make something Latin, Spanish, or something European, I call on my grandmother. Okay, abuela, come help me throw these spices together. You know, I don't believe there's anything wrong with that. I believe that spirit is spirit and God is God, and God can do whatever he wants. And whatever we believe is true, is true. And I'm not saying that that I believe I'm God. I don't believe that. I believe God is in me. And I believe that we have powers beyond what we will ever tap into, ever tap into. And so I want to encourage you that one of the things that you can do is just sit and have a conversation with them. Again, I know people that do this, and it's helped them get through. And by the way, this also works when you've been traumatized as a child and nobody was there for you. You have a picture of you as a child and you love on that child. Just look at the picture. Because remember, the brain and the body and the mind doesn't know the difference of fact and fiction. It's responding to what you're doing at real time. So if you've been abandoned, abused, just be there for that child. Just if you need a visual aid, have a picture of you when you were that age, when you felt abandoned or hurt or abused, and you as the loving adult, love that child into feeling safe. So that's just another class that we can do, but you can do this with someone that you've lost as well. Call on them anytime you want. It used to be, and I hear this all the time, I don't know how many times I picked up my phone to call my mom or to call my dad or to call my husband or to call and then I realized, oh, they're not there. But are they? Are they not there? We don't know that. We don't know that. We don't know what we don't know. They might not be there, or they might be there. Their spirit is in you. Their spirit is in you. So you don't need a phone anymore. You can say, hey, Joe, hey, Susie, hey, baby, how are you? Let's talk. I miss you. Say the things that you want to say, but you can't. Get it out. People will think, that I'm a crazy woman by saying these things, or that I'm sacrilegious because, the dead are dead. We don't know. We don't know. One scripture verse and a whole Bible is not going to convince me that the spirit of someone isn't alive in me. So that is the good news, is that you don't need a phone. Just sit down and have that favorite pillow, favorite song, and just sit there and just be grateful for the love that you had for that person and they had for you, and be able to be okay with having laughter in your life again and being joyful in your life again, and celebrating the holidays, because this is a new normal. It's a new normal, that they will not be there physically. They can be there because you bring them. You can bring them. It's just like when you go to and I don't believe in anything like haunted or anything like that, but when you go to Disney, the Haunted Mansion, at the end you're going past the mirror and they say, some of these friendly people, the ghosts, are going to be coming with you, and you'll see like an image, a hologram of someone with you. Again, no send me letters. I don't believe in any of that, but I'm just saying that that's the sentiment, that you have them with you everywhere you go. You know, can you believe that, John? Can you believe that, Sue? Can you believe that? Just have that conversation, let it out, because it will allow that progress to move from deep within to outwardly, and be able to enjoy more moments that you never thought that you would be able to enjoy. And then honor them. So if you are invited to a traditional meal that you and your loved one had been at, ask the host, or if you're the host, do it. Have like a little area, like maybe they were at a particular chair. Have a picture of them there, and have maybe something special that they loved. Maybe it's a flag if they were a veteran. Maybe it's, I'm just giving you ideas. I'm not saying that this is right. I'm just saying that if it resonates with you, do whatever it takes to get past the pain, feel the pain, and let it go. Let it release, so that that pain can become your passion. That pain can become something that you are able to help somebody with. So, does this resonate with you? Does it make any sense? What are your feelings of what I'm telling you right now? Because I know that once this class premieres, it's not the only time it'll be seen. It will be shared, it will be transferred, it will be, the people who love Dr. Day, just know that don't hold anyone on a pedestal. Everybody is human. Everybody makes decisions differently than you might make decisions. So don't judge it as right or wrong. It just is. It just is. And just please know that whenever you are in a place where grief overwhelms you, just feel the grief. Feel the grief. But allow gratitude to start permeating into you, saying, wow, how blessed am I that I had the opportunity to love this person, that they were in my life. Now, easy for me to say that Dr. Day is away and I'm not living with her. As far as I'm concerned, my brother, he passed away when 34 years ago. I was pregnant with Blake. And so 33 years ago. And I remember singing at his memorial service. And after I was done singing, just crying and crying and crying. And it was a very healing crying. But after that, my brother still lives in Puerto Rico. That's how, whenever I think of my brother is out of state. He's living in Puerto Rico. When I think of Dr. Day is in California. She's there. She's probably telling God what to do. And so I'm just saying that whatever helps you, and hey, even, I know someone who lost their infant child. It was, they were born and they lived 15 hours. And at the beginning of that journey, they had to take something to get them through the pain and the trauma of that loss. But this person has done huge things from this loss. And this person honors that child's memory every year by doing something big. I love to see examples like that. I also know people who are still grieving 12 years later, 15 years later, 20, 30 years later, as if it just happened today. That is not healthy. That will not help any of us, none of us. The people who are watching you grieve and the people who are grieving lose in this deal. They lose, we lose, all of us lose. And all because our will wasn't done. We want more time, or we want whatever. We need to rationalize the fact that God is in control and that God didn't take them away from us. That is focusing on lack, and that is focusing on what's wrong. What we focus on is that God gave us that person, even if it was for 15 hours, just like my friend Erin, who runs a 5K and does research for her little girl that passed away to help with, she has a condition where her lungs did not develop, but it wasn't the condition that ruined her life, that ended her life. It was the fact that there weren't ventilators for her size. And so now she has taken her journey, and now every year with her 5K race, she helps collect funds so that they can help. And I should have her back on the show. That's what I should have her, Erin Hissam. I should have her back on the show so that you can see how she grieved. Now, again, everybody grieves differently. And this is not to compare or contrast, but people grieve differently. And this is how she has been able to grieve. And so what I'm saying to you is set yourself up to experience whatever you need to experience, because it's temporary. But the longer you postpone the grief, the less temporary it will be. Because I assure you that when you lay your head on your pillow at night, after being busy all day and being like having your head full of whatever it is that you need to fill your head with so you don't think about the loss that you've experienced, when you put your head on that pillow that night or wake up in the morning, those are the thoughts that will haunt you unless you do something about it. So I don't know if you've experienced loss, if these words have been helpful to you, if maybe you can share in the comment section how you have been able to grieve beyond pain to joy. Just like we did with Carol Howe, with the conversation that we had with Carol Howe. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it. But if you want the other conversation that we had that is not in anywhere you can find it, you can only receive it. You just email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com or text me at 407-373-5959, and I will send you the link to that video that will have a passcode. If you want to learn more about grief and how to get beyond that, our conversation that we had, it was probably half an hour or 25 minutes. So it's quite substantial, but I only want you to have it if you want to hear it and if you want to learn it. I'm not just going to put it up there so that people like walk by it and go, I don't care. But if you care, I will do whatever it takes to help you heal past. And believe me, I will be reading all this stuff, and when that day comes for my parents. But until then, I celebrate having them on this earth every day I can. And I want to remind you that on February 3rd, we have the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. I hope that you will join us. The tickets are for sale in the website. Also, so register now. We have VIP. Those are the first ones to sell out. So make sure you get your VIP before December 31st. I must say that there is a $24 discount. And that's in honor of 24, because this is going to happen in 2024. And you'll have a $24 discount. So get your ticket as soon as you possibly can. And I'll leave you with some words that we don't see air, but we breathe it. We don't see love, but we feel it. And so we need to know that there's more to what we can see, hear, feel, taste, and sense. There's more. And just create, not an illusion, but create something that will help you get past the pain of the loss of someone. Because if you only knew who walked beside you, you would feel that hope for that coming together and that glorious resurrection, as Dr. Day and I totally agree on. We would be together, and we will be looking forward to, in anticipation for that glorious day. They say that time heals all wounds. And I tell you, as a coach and as someone who has experienced losses in her life, my life, I'm not going to talk about myself in third person, but in my life, someone who has experienced lots of losses, what has rung true is that time heals nothing. What you do with that time is what matters. That's what heals our heart, whether it's broken, and it allows us the opportunity to begin the healing. So I hope that today has been, I know that talking about death during the holiday is not the best thing, but I hope that today will bring you hope and joy so that you can hold the two emotions in your heart at the same time. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps